Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Degeneracy. Today, I'm in a jacket. It's really cold. Illinois, Chicagoland area, whatever you want to call this. It was really pleasant for about 2 days, and then it started getting cold again. So my basement, which is where my studio is, really cold right now. So I'm just going to keep wearing this jacket. But anyways, today we're going to be talking about the song Not Even Close to Baseline. As you can see, I'm free of a guitar or bass. This song was entirely made via keyboards. Essentially, I make electronic music from time to time, and when I do make electronic music, I have found that MIDI is not the answer. Aside from a handful of computer programs and, Pro Tools, whatnot, that I kind of use as this, what do you call this? Almost like a digital tape machine kind of setup, I'm not good at computers or understanding anything in the MIDI world. So when I'm making electronic music, I'm using my keyboards, my synthesizers, my sampler, stuff like that, from top to bottom. It could be a piano sound, it could be a synthesizer, it could be an organ, it could be something more, bleepity bloopity, it could be drum samples. Any and all these things are usually always covered with one of these devices. On Not Even Close to Baseline, my primary choice for this was my Korg Kronos. I've had my Korg Kronos now for I think it's been at least 6 or 7 years, maybe even 7 or 8, something like that. We'll say at least 7 years. I got it. I financed it for 4 years from Sweetwater when I was still a student in Boston, and it has been one of the best purchases I've ever made. Period, said and done. This thing has amazing samples of a lot of really great sounding pianos and whatnot, and that's usually how I'll build most of these tracks, is usually with some kind of a great piano sound as its core, and then kind of build out from there. Something to note on this record, or on this track specifically, was that how I'm running my synths, are direct in. I'm not, there's no microphone in front of any kind of a loudspeaker or anything like that. It's literally the stereo outs, so the Korg Kronos, stereo outs, right, a left and a right, that then fed, in my case, into guitar pedals. I love stereo guitar pedals. Not always for guitar, because more often than not I'm recording or tracking with a mono source, maybe even like a dual mono source, but always just like a mono source. Stereo guitar effect pedals work wonders with synthesizers, keyboards, whatnot. In this specific case, there was a Strymon Mobius, which is like a modulation pedal to the extreme, chorus, roto vibe, flanger, tremolo, you name it, that pedal does it. And it's a perfect interface with the Korg, because it takes such perfect, bass level samples, and it modulates them. It gets them doing cool stuff, and that's where this song comes from, is being able to be hands-on with what you're doing, running effects pedals, turning knobs, getting sounds, and doing everything outside of the computer. Worth noting, a really good way of making sure that you've got great sounds is having a good preamp so again, Korg effects pedals, it's got to go into a preamp, right, for it to be recorded. I've now owned my Manly Force. It's a 4-channel tube preamp now for I think it's been about 5 or 6 years now. One of the best things I've ever purchased for the studio. Just excellent warmth, lots of three-dimensional qualities that, like, when I was just going direct into my Apollo and using the digital preamps there, although still sounded good, doesn't do what this does. This is real deal, pro recording studio pre's. It's done wonders on everything, but that's usually where I'll go to. So synth, pedals, pre, and then Pro Tools, right? Avoiding MIDI at all costs. Along with that, definitely want to mention the fact that the same way that the synthesizers and all the extra noises and all the crazy stuff that I'm doing are all the Kronos. The drum samples are all also the Kronos. I'm, again, not particularly good at understanding MIDI. So rather than trying to take a drum loop or something like that, and I will go in for a song once all of my foundational stuff is recorded, and I'll go back and I'll do percussion. And so what that means for me is that I'm going to sit there, kick drum, snare drum, hi-hat, if there is one, if there's not, whatever, extra auxiliary percussion, and I will perform each instrument down the row one thing at a time. It is a 100% authentic, human-made percussion section on an electronic track, which, in my opinion, has more personality and feels more human than if you just took a drum sample, took a 4-bar thing and you copy paste. Okay, and then here's the fourth repeat with a drum lick at the end of it. All right, now take that whole thing, copy those 4 bars, and now copy paste. I don't like that. I think bringing a more human element to electronic music with recorded drum samples is the best way. It's crazy. When I had first showed William, the Mystical Chocolate Endeavors drummer, this track, he had asked how was that done, because I think he could also tell that there's an occasional lag, there's an occasional something, and it's me. It might be me hitting it ever so slightly too late, ever so slightly too early, but it's me. So you go boom, 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 that's a person, and more people making more music is the most important. Along with that, I just wanted to say for the song, Not Even Close to Baseline is a reference to Blade Runner 2049, one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. I ended up seeing it like 7 or 8 times at the show, and who knows how many times since it's been available for digital streaming or whatever. I love that movie. I think it's in time gonna be just as much of a classic as the original Blade Runner was, and again, as a guy that loves the original Blade Runner, lots of references to that movie, specifically when Agent K goes back to the police station and he has to keep getting checked, making sure that he's on baseline, the protocol for these the replicants and whatnot, and when he comes back after learning everything that he has about artificial life and oh, you're not even close to baseline. Well, yeah, the way he sees life is completely different from now on and forever, and I think that's kind of what plays into part with the rest of the lyrical content. But anyways, I'm not trying to make this too much about what are the songs about. You figure it out if you care enough. If not, who gives a shit? Just listen to a fun, sad sounding song. But anyways, I think that's been enough for today. Again, thank you so much, guys, for being here. Really means a ton if you're taking the time to watch these. But anywho's, talk to y'all later. Bye.